So, hi Carolina, thank you very much for joining me today. It's a pleasure to speak to you. So, our first question of our three, how does being a non-native English writer change the way you view and approach the world of literary writing and publishing?
So what I discovered was that I was battling with a double imposter syndrome
Yeah.
because it was not only about writing, but it was also
Mhm.
about writing in a second language.
Yes.
Now, I've chosen English because for me it did not carry all of the emotional baggage
Mhm.
that would carry writing in my first language.
Right. Okay.
So I think for me also it was choosing or anointing myself as a writer
Yeah.
and accepting sort of the identity of as a writer. And I've been pondering like where and how do we get to the point where we call ourselves writers,
Yeah.
right? Because it's
Yeah.
and who gets to choose? For
Mhm.
me, it was looking for the big announcement
Mhm.
from the institution,
Yeah.
from or just being published. But then you can always move the signpost
Yeah.
further and further. So it needs to just stem and rise from the inside, I guess. And that was one of the hardest things for me. And yeah, I mean, in terms of technical approach, I mean, obviously, I was terrified, and I still am, to make any grammar mistakes because that in my head would immediately cancel me. Like, how dare you?
No.
Um, so that was one thing. But then I learned that, in fact, you guys aren't properly being taught English grammar. And I was introduced to this book. You may be familiar with it. Let me reach for it. I think it's a classic one. Rediscover Grammar.
Oh,
Do you
okay.
know
Yeah.
this
Okay.
one? By David Crystal. It seems it's a classic one for English speakers. So it was fun
Right.
to go through it
Mhm.
and to see yeah, totally different ways of learning and approaching grammar. So that was one thing. I mean, obviously talking and writing gives you the permission to hide your voice in one way while
Mhm.
giving you the voice in all
Yeah.
of the other ways. And in my cohort, it was me and a couple of other non-natives.
Okay.
And during summer school, we were all petrified by how we're going to be just, would anyone would be able to understand us and to
Yeah.
what about the accent? What about again the lexis, the register, all of that? Uh, but again, I mean, being non-native gives me fresh approach to
It does. Yeah.
language because I'm not necessarily tied or just constricted with all of the language patterns.
Mhm.
So I think that particularly in poetry and hybrid, that maybe even provides sort of advantage
Yeah.
uh, because you came up with ideas and weird collocation. I mean, some of them may not work,
Yeah.
but some of them may be really refreshing and innovative in a lot of ways.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. I think that fresh perspective that you talk about there, that's really interesting and really important. And like you said about some things working and not working, that's true of every writer, isn't it? Regardless of whether it's your first or second or third language, how many things have I ever written that haven't worked and I've had to rework or rewrite or just can't get to work. And it doesn't matter whether it's your first or second or third language, that is absolutely part of the process, isn't it?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
liked what you said as well about the idea of a double imposter syndrome, because this is something that so many creatives just experience and I suppose maybe suffer from, if that's the right term, with their own writing or their own creativity or their own work. And it's hard to get past, and maybe doubly hard to get past, like you say, if you've got this double imposter syndrome. But if we're and you said it perfectly, didn't you, about moving the goalpost? If we're constantly seeking this external validation, we writers want to be published as a general rule, don't they? And that's great, obviously, that external validation. But my argument's always been, I think if you are writing, whether it's for work or whether it's just as a hobby or for fun or to get published, then you are a writer, aren't you? But I think a lot of
Yeah.
people attach that kind of title or acclaim of being a writer to getting paid for your writing, which I
Yes.
suppose makes you a
Yeah.
professional writer, but you don't have to
Right.
be a professional writer, you can be a writer. Yeah.
Right. And I think that the topic of money is also a big one, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But if it's that you get the stamp of legitimacy when you
Yes.
get
Yeah.
paid for something,
Yeah.
you can therefore call yourself professional. But yeah, I mean, I guess since being published, what helped me was
Yes.
I
Yeah.
decided then from now on, I'm going to use a what I call a poetic license. So if I make a mistake, I'm going to call
Yeah.
it a poetic license
Perfect.
and just try to be, being deranged and logical. I'm a poet, so what can you do?
Yeah. Well, I think that that sounds like a very sensible approach. Maybe more writers and more poets should adopt that approach.
Exactly. Let's just bring it out there and
Yeah.
have fun. And always like, why so serious, right? What's there to lose? Yeah, I mean, just this morning, I listened to to an interview with Deborah Levy, who I
Okay.
adore,
Mhm.
and she said that we should all say things. It takes us years to understand.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
So yeah,
I like
I'm
that.
taking that on as well, moving forward.
Good. Oh, no, I like that. Well, that's perfect. Thank you very much.